Take a break from your busy schedule and join Harold Sala for Guidelines, a 5-minute commentary on living.
The Bible never attempts to prove God's existence. It begins assuming that He is there and that He has revealed Himself to humankind and that you can know this God. In Moses' day, educated Egyptians held to the myth that the world had been generated from an egg, a symbol that you'll find on ancient Egyptian ossuaries or caskets. But having had a personal encounter with the Almighty on Mount Sinai, Moses came down the mount with his face shining, and he wrote, "In the beginning God created the heavens and the earth." He had encountered God personally. Moses begins by saying, "Here is God," and he brings us into confrontation with 4 powerful forces of life: time, matter, space, and activity. Time, that's the phrase, "in the beginning." But literally, the Hebrew which Moses wrote says, "in beginning." It's a kind of loose reference to the fact that the Creator was there before He began the creative process that resulted in the creation of the earth and our first parents. Moses then deals with matter when he wrote, "God created." He didn't stop and give us a footnote, something like, "Now I need to explain who I'm talking about." He just presumed that those who read know He's there, something that has been lost on a lot of us in the modern world, something which Paul explained in Romans 1. Educated in the palace of the Pharaoh, Moses used an interesting word when he says God created. He used a word that means to create from no previously existing material. Then Moses describes the vastness of the universe and space in a phrase, "the heavens and the earth." Wow, what a challenge. Okay, you say, I can believe that, but the issue is, how do I know He's still there? As Dr. Rick Cornish points out in a newly published book for inquiring minds called 5-Minute Apologist, does God exist is the ultimate question, he says. But does God exist is a different question than can we prove that God exists? Nothing, says Dr. Cornish, including God, can be proven or disproved in a final, absolute sense. Anselm, the Bishop of Canterbury, was the outstanding Christian philosopher and theologian of the 11th century. He gave the world the argument that we exist and therefore God exists. You don't find a watch and then not assume that it had an inventor or a watchmaker. Nor do you look at the vastness of heavens and not see the hand of a creator. You don't analyze the complexity of DNA and assume that a chance happening produced a baby, or an explosion in a print shop resulted in the first dictionary, or the first edition of the Gutenberg Bible. Want to see God's handiwork? Look at the vastness of space. Look at the purity of a baby. Look at the empty manger where Christ was born and the old rugged cross where He laid down His life. Look at the empty tomb where God's Son pushed aside the grave clothes and rose again. Read the record, the one begun by Moses, who introduced God's creative power and culminated with His giving the law and the 10 Commandments to govern and guide our lives. Read the Gospels, especially the Gospel of John, which outlines the beautiful story of God sending His Son to show us the way back to heaven. You will see His compassionate heart, His loving, caring hand. But don't wait to embrace Him until somebody proves He's there, any more than you would wait to breathe until somebody proves that air will sustain you. He's there. Moses was right.
You've just heard Dr. Harold Sala with Guidelines, a 5-minute commentary on living. If you would like to listen to the program again, download a copy, subscribe to our e-commentary, or view other resources, visit guidelines.org. We would like to hear from you, too. You can email us at info@guidelines.org. That's info@guidelines.org. Thanks for listening, and we invite you to join us again for the next edition of Guidelines.